Appropriations Bill. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to speak to us, and we appreciate your interest in the work of our subcommittee and look forward to hearing from you. You're back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The gentleman from Massachusetts.
Well, Chairman Harris and Ranking Member Bishop and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to share my priorities for the fiscal year 2025 Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies appropriations bill. I've submitted a much longer written testimony, but would just like to take an opportunity to briefly discuss food security at home and abroad and the importance of coming together to end hunger once and for all. In my role on the House Agriculture Committee, I've spent years talking to people with lived experiences of hunger, lived experience of hunger, advocates and experts about the need to protect SNAP, our nation's first line of defense against hunger, particularly from cuts or more onerous restrictions. I know the subcommittee chair and I differ in our opinion on restrictions in SNAP, but I implore this committee to reject any rider to further limit what recipients can buy or otherwise pilot food restrictions. This is a dignity issue. This committee doesn't try to police the shopping carts of members of Congress or anyone not utilizing federal nutrition benefits for that matter, and it is wrong for Congress to dictate to poor people how they should eat. Incentive programs like the Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program and SNAP Education have proven to be useful tools in helping families eat healthier on a tight budget, and I'd welcome members of this committee to join with me in working to further expand these critical programs. I also asked the committee to provide SNAP with such sums language to protect beneficiaries' access to the program. I also asked that the committee provide robust funding for other safety net programs that address hunger in America. These include fully funding the President's request for $7.7 billion for the WIC program to ensure pregnant and postpartum moms and their young children continue to have access to these critical benefits. $115 million for the Emergency Food Assistance Program, TFAP, storage and distribution, and rural infrastructure grants. $4.4 billion for the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and $425 million for the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. Robustly funding our school meal and summer feeding programs, including strong support for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, farm-to-school grants, and school kitchen equipment grants. Fully funding the Food Loss and Waste Reduction liaison at USDA to ensure that food that is perfectly good to eat goes to people in need instead of landfills. This year, I'm also leading an effort to address the workforce crisis within the nutrition programs. A recent School Nutrition Association survey of program directors found that 90% of school meals programs are grappling with staffing shortages. Toward that end, I will be requesting funds to pilot school food workforce and chefs in schools programs to improve our school meal programs. Turning to America's critical leadership on global food security, I applaud the committee's longstanding bipartisan support for Food for Peace, Food for Progress, and the George McGovern Robert Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program. I'm especially grateful for the committee's support of the McGovern-Dole program. This year, Congressman Mann and I, again, are co-leading a bipartisan letter urging the committee to provide $265 million in FY 2025 for the McGovern-Dole program. As you know, the world is facing a global food crisis brought on by severe weather events due to changing climate patterns, local and regional conflict, the impact on key commodities due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the economic stress caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and natural disasters. Rarely in our lifetimes have programs like the McGovern-Dole program, Food for Peace, and Food for Progress been more needed. So I strongly support providing a minimum of $2 billion for Food for Peace in FY 2025. I also asked the committee to make a special note of the needs of infants and children, especially those suffering from severe malnutrition and undernutrition when allocating funds and commodities for Food for Peace. Proven treatments for severe malnutrition, such as ready-to-use therapeutic foods and targeted nutritional supplements, should be fully incorporated into FFP programs where appropriate. Lastly, I asked the committee to support voluntary conservation programs at USDA, which help farmers in every state to increase the value of their operations and strengthen our food system through land stewardship. Conservation programs are especially important for small and medium-sized farms, as they are sometimes the only access that producers have to the farm safety net. I ask the committee to reject any harmful riders that may jeopardize support for farmers, including by protecting the crucial investments made through the Inflation Reduction Act. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you're right, you and I are going to disagree on restrictions, but just to make it clear, we already restrict food choice on a low-income nutrition food program. It's called WIC. So it's not a question of whether we as a government have decided to do that. The only question is whether or not we should extend those same benefits of nutritious food to the SNAP program. But I appreciate your comments.
And with respect, Mr. Chairman, I think it is fair to say that all Americans need to improve their diets. And there are incentive programs that I support, like the GUSNIP within SNAP. But I think to basically focus in on a population of poor people is not a particularly good thing to do. It's not a nice thing to do. And so maybe we could find common ground on ways to incentivize people to make better choices. But I think restricting choices for poor people is not the way we should go.
I thank you. I appreciate the comments from the gentleman from Massachusetts. Thank you for appearing before the committee.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. McGovern, I just want you to know that I appreciate very much your passion for the programs that you mentioned that are in our bill, and that comes through very, very clearly. I am a Matthew 25 person. I believe in our responsibility to help the least of these, and the programs that you have advocated for today do just that. I've seen you in the Agriculture Committee fighting for these same programs, in the Rules Committee fighting for the same programs, and I look forward to working with you to address these very, very, very important and significant issues, because we have a platform with which we can make a difference domestically, and make a difference internationally, and impact particularly humanitarian efforts for mankind. And I admire and I respect your passion on these issues, and I look forward to working with you to try to make that happen.
You're very kind, and I believe that food ought to be viewed as a fundamental human right, not just here in the United States, but around the world. I think it's to the extent that we can support programs like Food for Peace and McGovern-Dole, it enhances our national security. But I'm particularly frustrated that we live in the richest country in the history of the world, and we have 40 million of our fellow citizens who don't know where the next meal is going to come from. We can do better, and with your help, we will. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman from Nebraska.
Good morning, Chairman Harris, Ranking Member Bishop, members of the subcommittee. I appreciate the opportunity to share updates about an important project to my district and the next generation of United States agriculture. Specifically, I call your attention to the USDA Ag Research National Center for Resilient and Regenerative Precision Agriculture, the co-located facility at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and the adjacent public-private Ag Tech Accelerator will anchor a national network comprised of ARS and land-grant universities committed to addressing one of the most critical science gaps to advancing innovation in American agriculture. If you live in Iowa, you get enough water that you don't need to irrigate your crops. As you move into the state of Nebraska and you go west, water is a precious, precious resource. States like Colorado, Arizona, California, Texas, they say whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. This Precision Agriculture Center will allow us to learn and research how to raise more corn, more grains, more soybeans with less water. And that pays a dividend to every single American and our food security. I want to thank the subcommittee for your past support of this project and in the previous appropriations package. I was extremely pleased to see the subcommittee met the full funding ask and recognized the important need for investments in cutting-edge agriculture. Now we must keep the momentum to secure significant construction funds in FY25 as inflationary escalation costs continue to rise. Congress appropriated $11.2 million for planning and design in FY21, $20 million for construction in FY22, $25 million for construction in FY24. This project has the strong support of our U.S. Senator on the Senate Appropriations Committee, Deb Fischer. I appreciate her leadership there as well. The first phase of construction, slated to begin in the next month, will build 15,000 square feet of greenhouse and 10,000 square feet of head house space and connect with the existing Greenhouse Innovation Center. The second phase of construction, which will commence when Congress appropriates all the funds, will go toward constructing a 120,000 square foot, four-story laboratory and office building on the Nebraska Innovation Campus. ARS will utilize these facilities for scientists and staff in the two existing research units in conjunction with the two new research units. Ultimately, USDA expects to double its science and support staff presence in Lincoln at this new complex. Precision ag is a key piece of Nebraska's agricultural fabric, but by extension, the rest of America, and it makes sense that this is located in the Cornhusker State. A January 2024 GAO report showed Nebraska is at the forefront of utilization and adoption of precision ag technology and practices. To give you a little background, you may not know this, but the Ogallala Aquifer is the largest freshwater underground ocean that sits under the state of Nebraska into Kansas, into Colorado, and a portion of Wyoming. We have the most of it. And since 1955, using science and what we call natural resource districts, we have protected that water resource to the tune of, we've only lost a foot since 1995 of this underground water aquifer. We believe in precision and regenerative agriculture. We want to learn how to raise even more corn with less water and teach the rest of the world how to do the same. We want states like Colorado, where they're begging for water. The city of Denver wants to take water out of the South Platte and divert it to Denver just to meet the growing number of folks that need it. This will allow us as Nebraskans to do more with less. Same thing for rural Wyoming, same thing for rural Colorado and across the western states. This is the kind of synergy between government, universities, industries, small businesses that will benefit USDA, Nebraska, and a nation's ag economy and producers across the nation. I can go on and on and on about the reasons for this. This committee has shown a dedication to this project. I'm simply here to renew the request, to thank you for your past support, and to answer any questions or provide any updates that might be helpful. With that, I thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the gentleman from Nebraska. Mr. Bishop, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Flood. I have been associated with this project, working with your predecessor, who was also ranking and chair of this subcommittee, and he was very passionate about this ARS, University of Nebraska partnership, and I was educated by him, and I certainly feel that it's a project that is well worth the investment. And I have consistently supported it, and I hope that we can find a way to support it this time around, because I think that all of us in agriculture and all of the consumers who ultimately purchase the products that we grow will benefit, if no place but at the supermarket, with better prices because of more efficient production. So I think it's the investment in ARS and research and the collaboration with the University of Nebraska is a good thing, and I think it's good not just for Nebraska, but it's good for America.
Thank you. Mr. Fortenberry has shown great leadership on this, and I want to continue his good work as the representative of Lincoln in the Congress.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The gentlelady from Wisconsin. You're recognized.
bipartisan commitment to ensuring that every eligible individual who seeks WIC services can access its resources. This investment made sure that we did not cut current women, infants, or children off the program and put those most vulnerable on wait lists. This effort will save the government and our healthcare system in the long run. I grew up hungry. I often went without breakfast or lunch and would find myself eating leftovers off my friends' plates at lunchtime to get through the day. My experience is not unique. According to the Department of Agriculture, over 30 million households with children are food insecure. WIC is the nation's premier and proven preventive public health nutrition program. And by law, WIC is designed to supplement diets and provide nutrients for healthy growth and development, and currently supports over 6 million low-income and nutritionally at-risk mothers and young children by providing nutritious foods, education on healthy eating, and referrals to health care and related services. WIC participants experience reduced rates of childhood obesity, increased dietary quality and variety, higher immunization rates, and higher cognitive development scores. Participants also benefit from breastfeeding education and support led by breastfeeding peer counselors who are often members of the programs themselves. The WIC's program evidence-based food packages are available to participants according to their life stage and nutritional needs. These food packages must be regularly updated to align with the latest science. And I'm gonna get off script for a minute, hoping that my time will permit me to do it. And I remember when my daughter had her first pregnancy and gave birth to a 1 pound, 2 ounce baby and needed to breastfeed. And that was so expensive because what she needed was not milk and cheese. She needed fresh fruits and vegetables and good protein. And I mean, it cost me an arm and a leg to feed her. That 1 pound, 2 ounce baby now has a bachelor's degree in finance, and the banks and everybody fighting over her want to pay her tuition so she can get her CPA. But she was 1 pound, 2 ounces at birth, and WIC would have been very important to her. The formulary hadn't changed enough to accommodate the need for her to get fresh fruits and vegetables. That came out of my pocket. I had to get the whole village involved in buying fresh fruits that she needed. That's my experience. Just this week, the most recent updates is those food packages were finalized. It is critical that we let science, not politics, like needing whole milk. No, you don't need whole milk to continue to guide the food packages. My daughter needed broccoli, not whole milk. One highlight of this update is the change to encourage participants to eat more fruits and vegetables by increasing the cash value CVB amounts. In fiscal year 2024, this benefit was targeted for cuts in this subcommittee. And I hope that this year, the subcommittee will fully fund this science-based recommendation. On top of health benefits, WIC serves as a key economic driver, providing benefits to taxpayer and local communities. When a family makes a WIC purchases, it infuses cash into local communities and small businesses, strengthening local economies all over the country. And yes, Mr. Bishop, supporting our farmers. Now more than ever, it's necessary to strengthen our investment in WIC as we are now seeing enrollment steadily increasing. I do have my full testimony that I will submit to the committee. I see that my time has expired, but until we have a hunger-free America, Mr. Chairman, we will need a strong WIC. And I yield back, and I'm available for any questions that you gentlemen may have.
Well, thank you very much, and I did read your entire testimony. I appreciate it. But I'm going to ask you, do you think Congress made the right choice when we place restrictions on WIC that make it highly nutritious food, the food exactly that women who are breastfeeding, that children need. Do you think we made the right decision when we said, you can't go out and buy just anything? This is going to be nutritious food.
I think it's important for it to be nutritious food, but I also think it's mean-spirited to, I remember once when I was the state legislature and I had a bunch of white guys that met me at one of my town hall meetings and they were pissed off because they saw somebody standing in line that bought a birthday cake for their kid. I was like, really? That wasn't crack that they were buying? Who's to decide? I mean, a pizza, something we all eat, not the best choices, but it's food. And to say that you're going to buy your kids pizza on Friday night for dinner, it's what's wrong with that? In the long run. I absolutely agree with the fruits and vegetables notion, but I don't want the government standing at the counter, saying, you can have this kind of cheese and not that kind of cheese. And it's just, it's not fair.
So if I understand you correctly, you think it's okay for the WIC program, but it's not okay for other nutrition programs that the federal government has?
No, I didn't say that. That's
I-
that's your characterization. You
Okay,
think it's
so-
like
so
give
what
me
do
an
you think?
example.
I mean, I'm asking seriously. I mean, you advocate for WIC, and you're absolutely right. Look, I love the fact that WIC is nutritious food.
It's a
because
life-saving program.
As a physician, because you've been in the situation, I know as a physician, you're breastfeeding. There are certain things you need to have in your diet.
Right.
But I would suggest that as you're growing up, there are certain things you need and certain things you don't need. And now that we know that obesity is caused by, for instance, large sugar intakes, things like that,
Right.
I would just suggest that we're doing the right thing in the WIC program by limiting it to nutritious foods that
Right.
that individual needs. I suggest we should consider that for other nutrition programs, and I'll leave it at that, and I will yield to my ranking member for any additional comments or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Ms. Moore, I fully appreciate your passion, and it comes through. And you speak from real-life experience. And I appreciate the fact that you were able to articulate the lack of a desire for families who are on WIC or any of the other nutrition programs to be stigmatized, to have someone standing and policing what they put in the basket simply because they find themselves in circumstances of needing the help from these government programs. And I think you are a person who, with great authenticity, can speak to that issue, and I appreciate the way that you responded to the chairman's question. I look forward to working with you to address the issues that you raised. They are very real and pertinent issues, and they are issues for which many of us are willing to fight and to really, really go to the mat for. And I appreciate your coming. You didn't have to come before us to make this case, but the fact that you are speaking for people who can't speak for themselves is so very much appreciated. So thank you so much for coming. Look forward to working with you to try to make food security effective for everyone. So thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bishop, and thank you so much, Dr. Harris.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for attending the hearing today to tell us more about the programs important to your state and district. Before I close, Mr. Bishop, do you have any closing remarks?
I, too, would like to join you, Mr. Chairman, in thanking all of the members for testifying before our subcommittee and the fact that they took time to come and talk to us about what's important to them and to their constituents. And obviously, their views will be vital as we move forward in the development of our 2025 Appropriations Bill, and so we thank them.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. I do appreciate the passion that all three members who testified today have. They obviously, as we know, look, as members of Congress, you represent your district, you represent what you think is best for the country, and we heard three, I think, excellent presentations today. This has been helpful information. We'll certainly keep all these comments and priorities in mind as we move through the FY25 appropriations process. The subcommittee stands adjourned.